Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Vintage Reviews. Today I'm going to try something a bit different. Rather than reviewing a game, I'm going to have a look at a console. Now rather than picking a Mega Drive, SNES, something boring like that, I've picked not the rarest console I own, but certainly one of the most obscure. The Amstrad Gx4000. Let's take a look, shall we?
On main viewer now, Captain. It appears to have dual control pedals. Plus, it's powered by ROM cartridge. Scan reveals lifelike picture. Plus, stereo sound. Captain, where did that thing come from?
The Gx4000 games console from Amstrad at £99. Where else could it come from?
Right, the Gx4000. Let's take a look on the front here. Headphones. Two standard 9-pin serial connectors used for the gamepads. Fans of Sega and Amigas will know exactly what this is. An analog input, i.e. what the PCs have. What looks like a modem input, according to the manual, is an expansion port, apparently for a light gun based add-on that never came out. On the top here, pause button, pretty useful. Power LED, good mechanical switch, and a nice little dust cover for the cartridge slot. On the back, 5 volts DC input, monitor output, quite surprisingly for a console of its age, a SCART output. Any Americans watching won't know what this is. This is just your component cables in one connector. Pretty handy, and it also makes it really useful for linking up to modern TVs. No fiddling about trying to get it tuned in. Sound switch, so you can output either sound through this, or through the headphone socket at the front. And what, when I was younger, we used to call the aerial input. Output, I should say. Getting to the TV. Overall, its console itself looks really smart. Kind of futuristic looking design. Kind of tough plastic, good Amstrad construction. This is what old Alan Sugar used to talk about, rough and ready and robust. Well, that's the console. Let's have a quick look at the controllers then, shall we? On the box you get 2 of them. Not 1, but 2, so no cheapy Sega trying to cheap out. Looks familiar, doesn't it? Think somebody at Amstrad's been playing a little too much Sega Master System. Also quite a element of a NES controller. The D-pad hurts my finger. It's too rough. And your fingers get really sore, especially if you're pressing down hard when playing games. Two buttons, 1 and 2. No start, no select, no nothing. Pretty average controller. If you are interested, I have tried the Master System controller on the system and it does actually work. Not particularly well, but it does work. So that's the controllers. The game cartridges. Pretty standard affair. Typical Amstrad construction, sort of rough and ready, sort of sturdy, nothing too fancy. Looks like it was printed on an inkjet printer, to be perfectly honest, the label. But they work pretty well. I've not had any problems with them not connecting because there's not a stupid amount of pins there. In fact, there we go. Slots in quite well. Still looks pretty smart with the front. Overall, a pretty nifty looking little device. Okay, now for a quick look around the machine. Why have you never heard of it? Well, it was released in 1990 and it was only in production for a matter of months before the plug was pulled on it. This is Alan Sugar's attempt to get into the console market, trying to beat Sega and Nintendo at the time that were cleaning up in the UK. It retailed for £100, which was quite reasonable for a console at the time. It is only an 8-bit machine powered by a Zilog AT processor, so power-wise, not really that great. According to Wikipedia, the colour palette is greater than a Mega Drive, and in a recent Retro Gamer interview that I've read, the designers said it was at least technically on par with the SNES. That I find really hard to believe. The games themselves look like bad Master System or NES games and there's nothing really to write home about. I think that's part of the reason the system failed. I mean, the games cost £25 each, which at the time consumers in the UK were used to paying what, £3.99, £4.99 for a tape-based game. The cartridges can also be used on the Amstrad CPC computers, partially helped by the fact that the Gx4000 is just really a cut-down CPC computer, much like the Commodore GX games machine. This is just a Commodore 64 without a keyboard and just had the cartridge slot on the top. Again, that failed as well, but the system itself looks cool. The price is okay, so why didn't it succeed? Well, 1, Amstrad did not have the marketing money to take on Sega Nintendo, and 2, there are next to no games for it. I believe in total there's around 40 official games for it, most of which are just conversions of existing games. There's nothing really exclusive at all. There's nothing really brilliant to play in it. We're going to be taking a look at the games in a minute. As you can see by the box of this huge big World Sports one, this is one of the only other games I have for the system. I've got Burning Rubber came free with it, and this other one came when I bought the system. It's a huge ass box containing, well, you can hear it shaking here. Well, it contains the tiny cartridge and the manual, and that's it. So for £25 you were getting a game that looks like something you'd buy for $3.99 on a tape. That's not a really good reason to buy the game. So Amstrad dropped it like a hot potato, and it faded into obscurity. Now, should you buy this thing? Well, let's have a look at the games first, and then I'll bring up my final comments at the end there. See you in a moment. And here we have Burning Rubber. As you can see, sort of your standard driving type game. Looks a bit like Chase HQ, Outrun, Lotus. Nothing spectacular, nothing particularly bad either. Considering it came free with the system and there is a 2-player split screen option, you'd be pretty happy with this if you got this on Christmas Day or for your birthday. Would have kept you and a friend entertained. It's pretty good. Nothing particularly great to write home about if you ask me. Just a sort of old-fay driving game. This was billed as the main sort of, killer seller for the system, but for me it's good fun, but it hurts my thumb because I'm finding I have to push forward pretty hard. The controls can sometimes feel a bit clunky and disconnected, like the game was sort of rushed out, not quite finished in time, but that's just a minor gripe with it. For a free game that comes with the system, I'll be pretty happy with this. Right, we're going to move on now, and I'm going to try and take a look at World of Sports. See you shortly.